Good morning, and once again, welcome back to the program. It's called Voices, and it's found only on the presentation as we continue our conversation from last Friday. We have with us again this morning in the studio Dr. Baofu, and we were discussing somewhat of geopolitical global issues. A very versed gentleman, and he did share with us lots of perspective on global matters, even as it relates to us here in the Federation. He's here with us once again. It was a very short period of time to share so much information, so he's invited back because of what he has to offer. So once again, Doc, the mic is yours. Welcome back to WINN FM. Can you introduce yourself to the audience, and we take it from there?
So thank you for inviting me again.
Yes. I want to get a bit closer to the mic so we can hear you more, right?
I'm Professor Dr. Peter Baofu, and I am an American visionary, and I have been written more than 180 books in all fields of knowledge, and I have proposed more than 150 different visions and new theories of the human future in relation to the mind, nature, society, and culture. And I have been in more than 151 different countries around the world as part of my global tour for a on-the-ground research of humanity in order to provide some solution to global problems in a more realistic way.
Okay. When we can you recall where we left off on last Friday? Can you pick up from there?
Sure, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Last time we were talking about the differences between different cultures, especially between the U.S. and China that you mentioned.
The Western world, yeah.
And also you talk about the historical legacy of St. Kitts, the colonial one, and how to get out of it. That is the two things that we spoke about last time.
Yeah, well, can you share more of your perspective on that?
Last time you were asking me about the colonial legacy and how to get rid of that. And I told you that there are many different ways to decolonize. Just because you become independent politically, it doesn't mean that you have been liberated. In fact, in many ways, you have not been. A good example is the one that you mentioned to me, that King III, Charles III is still your king, so to speak. And even though that is symbolic, but I think that to accept someone or some entity which used to be your colonial master as your king still, it shows very clearly that you have not yet get out of their mindset. In fact, I mentioned the notion of inferiority complex. Inferiority complex is a major problem for a lot of colonized people who have not been get out of that identity. So for you to continue behaving like that, that is a very, very serious impediment to your goal. Another thing you mentioned to me is about the money that you use easy. And you still have the pictures of the British crown on that. That is another legacy. It's not just damaging your identity, it's also damaging your economy. Because to be dependent on other people for a foreign currency, which is not yours, imposes a lot of monetary requirements and payments and costs, which are more detrimental. That's why Western Africa and Central Africa have been trying to get rid of the French francs, for example, because this has been so much exploited in the last few decades, and now they are waking up. I'm very surprised that it takes such a long time for them to wake up to all of this. It seems to me to be common sense as a scholar, but for them, it takes such a long time because of the power asymmetry between the colonial masters and the colonized people.
One of the things that we note with those 4 African countries that you refer to, they would have the military backing of one of the superpowers. You also indicated that for countries or people who've tried to rid themselves of this particular yoke is a very difficult thing because of the system that's in place, which the global authorities would not allow. So we about, say, 60,000 people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. How can we get away? It's not the mindset.
Yes.
Because it has been mentioned that we need to become like Barbados. How do we do that?
Yeah, last time I also spoke about Barbados, but I want to mention something else to inspire you in a way. in international politics, as I always said, is always a question about power. You can have many ideals and faiths and hopes as much as you like. You can even try to implement them as much as you like, but at the end of the day, if you don't have sufficient power, you will fail because you are not realistic now. And this is one of the major reasons that if you look into human history, especially in the 20th century, under Gandhi, for example, Gandhi came up with a solution to fight for people who have no power. I mean, I'm talking about military power. Look, if India were to fight the UK military, it could lose at that time. But Gandhi was smarter. Gandhi said, we could not win like this. We had to fight with non-violence, insubordination, protest. So one of the ways that Gandhi did is that the Boy Squad, they engage in a lot of insubordination. So in order to show that you can kill us as much as you like, at the end of the day, the answer is no, we don't accept your domination. We don't accept your exploitation. So one of the things that St. Kitts and many other colonized people like that can do is to learn something from Gandhi, for example. Gandhi is not the only one. There are many other people. That's what I'm trying to say. Look, India, under Gandhi, a lot of Indians were killed by the British. But Gandhi said, look, you can kill us as many as you like. You can imprison us as many as you like. In the end, the message is very clear. We will not stand it. We will not accept it.
How long did that struggle take?
It takes a few decades, by the way. So I think that Africa is the same thing too. Africa is waking up, by the way, but Africa has been doing this in more than 100 years now. Look at Haiti, your neighbor.
I was going to pivot to that because
this is more than 200 years now. Haiti is still under a mess because it's still a lot under American domination and also Western influence. It's not easy for you to become independent. That's the whole point. But I'm trying to say that you must have a strategy. You must do that consistently.
Let's talk a bit more about Haiti. You spoke about India not having the military power to contend at the time. We don't have that, even throughout the region. Economically, we're controlled by the World Bank, IMF, etc., which is actually controlled by those superpowers. So they can freeze us out economically. We're not the match militarily. Let's go to Haiti. Haiti, during the height of slavery, that global oppression of black people, was able to defeat the European armies. They slaughtered 50,000 Americans. They kicked out the British. They humiliated the French and was able to establish themselves as the first black independent nation in the region. What was the result of that? The economic and military force and might of the US and France by crippling the economy and making an example of Haiti to this day. Every last leader in Haiti, if you were to do research, has been selected and appointed by the Americans. So you have that control. Haiti is used as an example for other islands who may want to take that route.
Well,
so if you look at that from that perspective, what options do we have?
It's not just a question of Haiti. Look at Cuba.
Cuba, of course.
Look at Venezuela, for example. So the point that I have is that each country, the condition is unique, it's different. There's no one size fits all solution. So
it's the same foreign policy of the US.
Yes, but the point that I'm trying to make is that there's still certain guidance, certain fundamental principles. How to apply the principle, how to implement the principle is unique under each situation. But the principle is still the same. Decolonization is a principle, for example, and once you accept that, there are different strategies for you to take. Which one you should adopt, it depends on the situation. Cuba has its own condition. Haiti has its own condition. St. Kitts has its own. The more important point is that do you accept the overall principle of decolonization? Do you accept it as the goal for you to pursue? Africa nowadays, more and more countries are accepting Pan-Africanism as a goal. Now, how much do you want to pay at the price? As I told you before, well, no matter what you do, you need to pay a price for it. Are you ready for the price to pay?
It has to be a defined strategy.
Exactly.
Until we do that, we're going away fast.
Yes, but you also need to know how much you want to pay for the price. If I want to buy a new shirt or a new car or a new house, I ask myself, what's my budget? I mean, you must ask your question. Otherwise, you say, I want this house, but I have no money to pay. What's the point of talking about buying this house? The same thing about you want independence, you want decolonization, fine. What's the price you are willing to pay? Are you willing? That's a certain portion of your buy. Okay, fine, then don't do it. There's a cost. Look, in any asymmetric warfare in human history, the weak always die the most. Look at the war right now between Gaza and Israel. The Palestinians get killed more than 100 times more than whatever the Israelis have been killed. Are you willing for it? But for the Hamas, for the Palestinians, that is not the point. The point is there is a war of attrition. That's how the weak fight. The weak do not have submarines, do not have fighter jets, do not have strategic bombers, do not have nuclear bombs. They fight with their fists. They fight with the stones. They fight with their cruise missiles. They did not hit anything. But the point is they stand up. Sooner or later, now Israel is under genocide accusation. Soft power, they are winning. You lose in the end. That's how they fight in the longer term. And Israel now is in big trouble.
That's because the Palestinians have identified their cause. There is a unified cause amongst the Palestinians. We in the region, Barbados, St. Kitts, Jamaica, etc., we have yet to identify a common enemy.
I disagree a bit because I have been in so many countries. I have been in so many Caribbean islands. I spoke to so many people, both the opposition and government people. So I have some rough idea of what the people want. And I think that many of them are quite sympathetic to the idea of decolonization. I don't think there are a lot of disagreement about that. I think the disagreement is more about the tactics. How exactly you are going to do it. And also the disagreement is facing whom. There's also a question too. But the goal to have a liberator identity, I don't think many people could disagree with you. There are some, by the way, but I think that they are just the minority.
I think it comes down to a commonality of purpose. They may say to you, this is what we want. This is what we want. But if you don't have that commonality and the oneness of purpose, you don't have a chance. Because the divide and rule strategy, and then economically, because they control the economy, it can shut down your economy.
Yeah, but that is not what I mean. What I mean is that it's the same thing in Africa. Many sub-Saharan Africa. I keep talking about sub-Saharan Africa because North Africa is very different. They are Mediterranean people. They are Arabic people. They are not blacks. And the historical legacy is very different. But you talk about sub-Saharan Africa, that's much more appropriate, is that they face the same situation that you are facing. That's why Pan-Africanism in Africa is much more popular over there. And more people are adopting it, even though they disagree about how to implement that. They disagree. Look, they have the coup. Let's say in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Niger, and Guinea-Bissau, okay. But some of those coup leaders,
54 countries.
Yes, but some of those coup leaders, they disagree. What's the name of that guy? Can you say in Guinea and Guinea-Bissau? He was a member of the French Legionnaire, but he was a coup leader now, but he was rejected by the other three coup leaders because as a member of the former French legionnaire, he pledged his life and allegiance to France.
France, yes.
So even though now he carried the coup, but the coup was supported by France because they know that this guy was working for France.
Correct.
So he was rejected by the other three coup leaders. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger reject him, even though they are supposed to be together, right? They are coup leaders in the four countries. But they say, no, you are still working for the colonial masters.
They were correct.
You see that side, but the point that I'm trying to make is that in the case of St. Kitts and Barbados and all that, I do think that the colonization is a major goal, except that how are you going to do that? Do you have a unity? But I think that if you wait until there is unity, you will have to wait until the end of history.
It's not going to happen.
So that is not going to be very realistic. You must start now. Yes, there are some disagreement. Not everyone is going to jump in. Fine. Unite with whatever you have, and then as you grow, more and more people will jump in. That's how a movement starts. Every movement always starts with a small number of people.
Okay.
As they grow, then more and more people will join. So forget about those people who disagree with you. It doesn't matter. Join now with those who agree with you and start from there. This step 1. Think about step 10 later.
Given a chance, please give us a call back. Thank you.
I want to add something. There's something new. I want to propose, just as in Africa you have Pan-Africanism, I think that it's time for the Caribbean to have Pan-Caribbeanism.
Interesting.
I think that it's
Okay, let's see.
time
We
to
have a
have
call
this
now.
a new idea.
Excuse me. Good caller, you're live on Voices.
Hi, good morning, the King.
Good morning, Africa. How are you doing? Welcome to the program.
And yes, welcome to the program. Do you have a guest there this morning?
Yes, we have the Dr. Baofu, who was here last weekend. You say you got a bit of it?
Yeah, I got a bit of it the last time. I wish to say welcome to the doctor. I like where the discussion was going. It was the way Trump say he wants to make America great again. And the catchphrase, great again, is to say, well, America was once great, but America is not great at the moment, and you want to put America back on the pedestal, on the zenith, so to speak, of the height of where America once were and has found itself to be.
Am I correct?
Let me add a bit more. Also to answer to your previous question to me, I think that another opportunity for the Caribbeans is that the international order has changed. It's no longer 1945. We are now in 2024. The situation that we are in 2024, as I have already predicted in my book I told you last time, Beyond the World of Titans and the Remaking of World Order, in which I predicted that India and China will emerge as the dominant superpowers on Earth, not the US, not the EU. They will be in number 3 and number 4 later on. So in that new world order, the power shift is such that the US and the EU at the Western Alliance no longer have the power to control the world. We have been entering the multipolar one, except that the Western Alliance is still trying to keep the unipolar one. But the world is changing. Now, there is a lot of opportunities. That's why you go to Oceania, the Caribbean, everyone now in Latin America, in Africa, and Asia, everyone now is looking for alternative. China, India, and all that. So the Caribbeans, you ask me, how can you fight? I say, in many ways, you can switch your
Allegiance?
not allegiance, but you can make your foreign policy much more multipolar. I give you the example of Solomon Islands last time. Solomon Islands is switching to the multipolar alliance.
Excuse me. You were saying?
I follow that geopolitics. I follow that aspect of the geopolitics. But except to say that any linkages with the Caribbean, because the Caribbean has already been known as the sixth, may I reiterate, the Caribbean has been known as the sixth regions of the African space. And with that said, there are economic efforts in terms of there is what you call the Afrik-Mexican Bank. There's a bank in Africa that the Caribbean leaders can get funding from that bank to establish, because there are so many things that have us so separated. Even airlift to go to the African continent. So even though China for now is punching above, it's head to head, toe to toe with, like say, the EU and the United States and Russia. The African space needs not to go into anything else except for the African space. Africa for too long has been not holding its own. Every other regions, every other space needs to hold their own. And the same must be said for the African space, where we can be reliant because it's a multipolar world. But we, the Africans, have to define ourselves for ourselves. Within the African space, we have to see ourselves rising.
This is very clear. This is very clear. This is not just your personal wish. Many other countries also wish the same thing. The issue is for Africa as much as for the Caribbeans. When you are small, when you are tiny, of course you want to have national sovereignty. Of course you have to take care of yourself. Of course you do not want to dominate by anyone. Of course, who could deny that? The problem is, how are you going to do that if you are so small and tiny? All those powers can come in and crush the hell out of you. So you need to have certain kind of geopolitical maneuver so that you can play with different powers, so that you can balance them out. Solomon Islands, in this case, is a good example. It used to be under the Western umbrella, but they realized that they have been bullied so much. Now they want to ask China to come into, not because they want to show allegiance to China. No, they are not. But they want to balance them out. If, for example, the Western Alliance try to bully them, they will ask China for help. If China try to bully them, they will ask the Western Alliance for help. You balance them out. You play a clever game. You don't side with any side, but you invite them in because you want to balance them out. Once they are outside, no one can bully you, because when someone bullies you, you ask the other one to step in. That is exactly what they call the non-alignment movement during the Second Cold War. It started in 1954 by India, by some other countries. Now they have more than 120 different countries in the United Nations. They ask for non-alignment. That means that they play with everyone, but they do not want anyone to dominate them. But they cannot ignore all those powers because they are too small, too weak to be on your own.
Okay. Still Africa? Hello?
Yes, I'm gonna let someone else call in, and I'm gonna listen off.
Okay, appreciate that.
And
we do have to log on to WINN FM 98.9, listening to a discussion. We had our first caller for the morning, engaging Dr. Baofu on the, I keep mispronouncing your name, sorry about that. On the issue of Pan-Africanism, Pan-Caribbeanism, etc. The gentleman is quite the expert, and we are here to learn what we can from his observations globally. So, Doc?
Yeah, I just proposed the idea. I would like to call that Pan-Caribbeanism. I do think that it's time for the Caribbean to stand up and unite. Now, I'm not asking you to be a united states of the Caribbeans. I don't mean that. It's far too stretched to talk something like that. The sound of Pan-Africanism. No one said that Africa should be a unified country because there are so many tribes, so many different countries. But the purpose for that is that the African situation is different from the Caribbean situation, even though I'm quite aware that a lot of the people over here, they are of African descent. It's okay, but I'm just saying that the situation facing the Caribbean is different from the situation facing sub-Saharan Africa. So you need to have a different ideology and guiding principle. And I use this term, Pan-Caribbeanism, just as you have Pan-Africanism, to say that Barbados, St. Kitts, Dominica, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Trinidad, Grenada, and so on and so forth. They more or less can get together and trying to see what they can do together to help achieve decolonization and also the common purpose of development and help each other. That could be I think a very good way to address this issue. I'm quite aware that you have some other local, regional organizations already, but think about that. Those regional and local organizations are now working.
The goals are
for
different.
you.
The
Exactly.
goals are different, yeah.
And many of them are dominated by outside powers. Look at the Commonwealth that I just mentioned to you. You are, how can that is going to help you? It's still under the British
Go ahead.
control.
First of all, I would like to say that, as a Christian, I believe in doing things the Bible way only.
Yes, go ahead,
That
yeah.
is the only right and proper way. But let me also say this as well. You see, your guest is saying that the people need to come together and stand up and fight for themselves and that sort of stuff. Well, we are really not in any position to do that. The reason, and we don't have the mindset to do that. The reason being is that, for example, no matter what America tells us, if America said jump, we're going to always, in the end, say how high. You see, because we are a people, we want to always know we have access to the American visa. And we don't want to lose that access to the American visa, because we want to be able to go to America for visit and that sort of stuff. So we would stoop to any level where America is concerned to be used and abused by America so that we could always have access to the American visa. Not only that, even our politicians, for example, if America banned somebody, if the what the word use, if the what the word we don't use for that, Socrates again?
Deport?
Yeah, right. Deport. If America deport somebody, if America bans somebody, England or Europe ban somebody from coming to the countries, our politicians are very glad to use that against that person for political leverage, especially if it is a politician who got banned from, be it an American, Canadian, European, or from the UK, where they can go. And our politicians are very, very eager to use that against the person, because we are using those countries as the standard to know whether a person is good or bad. So once America ban you, them other countries ban you, you're automatically a very bad person in our politicians' eyes. So we are not really we don't really have the mind at the moment to really have the appetite. Okay.
All right, please. See if you can respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted 2 points. What he said is not correct. Number one is that when you work together for the common good, you don't need to fight the U.S. I never said that, or the EU or China. I don't ask you to side with one side against the other side. Non-alignment, by the way, is not to fight with anyone. Non-alignment simply means that I'm nice to you, I'm also nice to the other side too. If I am nice to America, I'm also nice to China too. I want to do business with everyone. But he is saying that, we are going to fight the U.S. I never said that. I said that you should be nice to the U.S., but you should be nice to everyone else too. You do not fight with everyone because you are small. If you fight, you lose. To be clever means over here is that you do business with everyone. It's exactly what the non-alignment did during the Second Cold War. They did not side with the U.S., they did not side with the Soviet Union. They do business with
Let's
everyone.
say this call, but the caller 11 voices.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
And your guest. Yes. I would be interested in hearing her blueprint for achieving what she's talking about. Because, like the previous caller said, especially in this area, we're regarded as part of America's sphere of influence. You don't just get up and get out of that. Nobody in the region wants to be another Cuba or another Venezuela, insofar as the sanctions and so on are concerned. So there are real difficulties in achieving the kind of non-alignment that is talked about.
Okay.
Right. What I was wondering though is if instead of looking at the geopolitics of non-alignment, so to speak, can't economic measures be used instead? Like, for instance, joining the BRIC nations in terms of making sure that there is an alternative to using the dollar.
The BRICS nation you mentioned, right?
Hello?
The BRICS nation that you refer to.
Right. Because once the dollar is the staple currency, is the standard currency used in all universal transactions, it will always remain, the rest of the world will always be...
No, that's not true anymore. This is a major problem of the people over here. This problem is not unique. It's also in Africa, in many other countries. That's why poor countries are so poor, because they are so fatalistic. Fatalism is a major problem because they have inferiority complex. They cannot think anything more than what they have been in. If you tell them about something, they are...
Go ahead.
With all due respect, right?
Yeah.
It's not a matter of being fatalistic. It's a matter of being realistic, okay? That is why I asked at the outset, what is your blueprint for achieving this? Because it is not a simple thing, it's not an easy thing, right? And we are faced with the fact that the world as it exists now is unipolar, right? And unless there is
not anymore. That's actually the whole point. We are already in a multipolar world.
I am interested in hearing her alternative. I am not. I understand what she's saying. I understand her feeling about the unipolar situation as it is. Okay, but the fact is that is the fact. Look at how Russia was just sanctioned just like that, a huge country at that. Okay? Look at how the Chinese, although they are very reticent, they're very cautious, they do not want to upset the West because they know the consequences that can result. If these huge countries are going to be so...
What the response is, but thank you for calling.
I think that the gentleman is not realistic. He said that he's realistic, but he's not. He's very fatalistic. If you look at the international situation, things have changed already. The fact that Russia was able to invade Ukraine already spoke a lot. The fact that China now has already surpassed the U.S. more than 10 years ago as the largest economy in the world in purchasing power parity, it speaks a lot. The fact that the largest navy in the world right now is not the U.S. anymore, is China, it speaks a lot. The fact that Trump is so afraid of Huawei speaks a lot because the U.S. is already losing international competitiveness. Even, I told you last time, the British magazine, The Economist, has published an article only the other week saying that now China is the top science superpower. That speaks a lot. You talk about 1945, 50, or 1970, or 1980. If everyone talk like that, people will laugh at you. China is just a copycat. Not anymore. That's why many of the fields that we are talking about, China is much advanced than the Western alliance. That's why things are getting so multipolar now. Look at the BRICS. You talk about the control of the monetary system. Not anymore. If you look in the last, things have changed a lot.
So the what you said?
The international transaction. It used to be dominated by the American dollars. Not anymore. Things have shifted a lot already, especially since the invasion of Ukraine.
What is
the gentleman said? Oh, you were controlled by the American dollars. Look, even China and Russia have to pay attention and listen to the West. Quite on the contrary, because of the sanction imposed on Russia and China, what they have done since then, more and more countries now are shifting. Russia, China, India, UAE, Brazil, Argentina, many other countries now are shifting to alternative international transaction payments to avoid the sanction. That kind of dominance is collapsing.
King.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad for my age.
Okay, Mr. Brown, let's hear you. Benefited from this start of the program.
Well, I like that. I could give an assessment and some comments on that.
Go ahead if you can, please.
Yes, the big countries of the world, we here in the Caribbean could be one of the big partners, you know. But here what is happening, the King, we are having tug of war. Each country in the Caribbean is having tug of war against the others. Each country. Now look at it. We have CARICOM. We have OECS. Why they can't form one block and trade and buy, and you could match some of these countries, because if you join together as one block, right? The things that so many countries in
Read something that somebody sent me, okay? And it reads, can China, one, really overtake the dollar to become the dominant currency? Continues, non-U.S. politics. Okay, would love to have this conversation and see what everyone thinks, as it has been on my mind lately in recent years. Especially in 2023, there has been an increasing speculation about the potential of the Chinese yuan to replace the US dollar as the world dominant reserve currency. While China's economic rise is undeniable, the idea that the yuan could soon replace the US dollar for several reasons is more complex than it appears. Just somebody sent me that, so I just read it.
Okay, no. Let me explain. I was reacting to the gentleman, not this one, the previous one, saying that the world is still dominated by the US dollars. I say no. There are several reasons for that. Look, he mentioned about, look, even Russia and China now is afraid of Western sanctions. They have to pay attention. You see that how powerful the unipolar movement is. We are still in the unipolar movement. I say not at all. It's exactly what I mean. If you look, let's say, after the sanction, what happened? After the sanction, there are a countervailing movement going up. The dollarization is on the rise. Now, what did they do? They have done a lot of things. BRICS is also another example to accelerate the process of de-dollarization. In the last year alone, before the sanction, for example, Russia trade with a lot of people. The majority of the transaction was in American dollars and also in euro too. Now look at that balance sheet. Almost all of those transactions have been in foreign currency, especially in Chinese yuan. It's not just between China and Russia. India, by the way, now is also trading with Russia in what? In American dollars? No, in rupees and in rubles. UAE and India are doing the same thing. UAE and China also doing the same thing. More and more international regimes understand that we need to get out of the American domination. So BRICS is proposing some other things. So what is happening now is not because yuan is going to replacing dollar. No, it's a larger combination now are replacing the international dominance of dollars. That's called I wrote an article about, I predicted this more than a few years ago. At that time, no one paid attention to me. You can read this article, the dollarization and the globalization. what I proposed at that time is that the process is emerging that now more and more countries are switching away from the SWIFT, which is a Western international transaction system, switching away from the euros and the dollars. So what did they do now? They use a combination of a lot of things, not about yuans, combination of American dollars, euro, Japanese yen, Chinese yuan, Indian rupees, Russian rubles, gold, for example, local currency swaps, commodity trade, barter, a lot of different combinations. We are moving toward that direction. And BRICS, by the way, just proposed another new thing. They are proposing a new currency by the BRIC member, and more than 40-something countries now are applying to join BRICS. Why? Because the global south are getting very tired of their domination. We have been moving toward that direction because they get tired of the unipolar moment. We are moving away from that already. I spoke about this more than a few years ago. I predicted that. No one listened to me. But now more and more people talk about de-dollarization, de-globalization, exactly as I predicted. We are moving further away from that. And secondly, one of the misunderstandings of many of the callers over here, they keep thinking that, oh, we cannot confront the U.S. I never said that you have to confront the U.S. or the EU. Black or white again. Either you are with the U.S. or you are against the U.S. I say no. Stop thinking like that. It's not either or. You are nice to them, but you are also nice to everyone else. That's non-alignment is not either or. Non-alignment means I'm with you. I don't want to do business with you, but I also want to do business with other people too. But I'm not against you. I'm not going to come in and kick you out. I want you to come in. You Americans, come in, please. But I also want the Chinese or the German or the Japanese or the Vietnamese or Indian to come in too. You are nice to everyone, but you are not going to sit here and fight with everyone. That's non-alignment is. Non-alignment doesn't mean that I'm going to fight you. No. Non-alignment say, okay, fine. I do business with you, America, but I also want to do business with China too. I also want to do business with India too. But I'm not going to say I fight you. I don't fight you at all. I like you. Come in, please. More investment. But I also want to do business with China or India or Brazil too. And Russia too. France, Italy, come in, please. Welcome. But this caller thing, we are going to fight America. I'm not saying, I never said that you should fight. Okay, you should do what you are doing, but you become non-alignment in the sense that you broaden your horizon, you play with them so that you can get the maximum benefit from everyone, not just from the local people. Why? Because you get sucked in like this, as we have been in the last few decades, and you do not grow too much. You need to get out of that box so that you can grow even more, not less.
Okay. Contend that many of us in the region has been aware of the shift in trading in dominant currencies, but we actually at the point where we must pause for the WINN FM's midday newscast.